the transitions, the counter-attacking. I watched the game. It was exciting. It was like watching some of Klopp's football, especially some of the European nights that they had, where they're just, they're on the front foot, they're pressing, and they're devastating on the break as well. They could have scored a few more goals. Difficult for any defence to recover, to deal with. So, he's doing a great job. Slot, everyone's talking about it. It's they're not the quiet outsiders now. They're definitely right at the front of the race for the title, with Man City slipping up and Arsenal slipping up and Chelsea a few points back and coming up from behind. But Liverpool, wow, they've opened that gap, haven't they, at the top of the table?
Yeah.
And
So, Jack, I think we should start with the previous weekend's fixtures and whether we got any of the scores.
I honestly can't remember, but I think
I have everything.
Did you write them down?
Yes, I have everything.
I'm glad you remembered.
Yeah.
So what did we say, and what was the result?
Okay, maybe some of them we got the wins, the draws, but not the actual scores. So let's go through them. Okay.
Yeah.
Brentford, Bournemouth. The result was 3-2. I said 1-0. You said 1-0. So
we got the result right,
yes,
but the score wrong.
Yes. 3-2. Actually, at one point, Bournemouth were in front, so Siki was going to be
completely wrong.
Yes. Crystal Palace, Fulham 0-2 away win for Fulham, which is really strange result for me, but that's Premier League. You predicted 2-1 and I predicted 1-0, so we got it wrong.
Oh dear.
West Ham Everton, it was 0-0 draw. We predicted that it was going to be a draw. You said 1-1, and I said 2-2.
Yeah, it was a bit of a boring game, that one. I saw some of the highlights. Terrible.
Wolves Southampton win for Wolves 2-0. I thought it was going to be a draw. Given the fact that Southampton were in an upward trajectory. But
what did I say? 1-0, did I say?
You said 1-0, yes.
Oh, so I was nearly there.
Yes,
nearly there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brighton, Man City, we got it wrong.
We were not expecting this. Maybe we should have been, because
nobody was
of the
expecting that Manchester City, and I think it's the worst results, for Guardiola and his coaching
in his entire
history.
career, 4 defeats in all competitions in a row. Yeah. What did we say? Did we say Man City?
You predicted 1-1 draw, and I predicted that it was going to be a 1-0 win by Man City.
Yeah, well, we're both close, because it was 1-0 Man City, then it was 1-1, but they got the winner. They got the winner, Brighton.
So they're, I don't know, Man City, they need to sort themselves out, otherwise.
Big time, because they're going to slip further and further behind, which we'll talk on. So what was the next one?
Liverpool, Aston Villa.
Yeah.
So you got it right.
Yes.
2-0. And I thought it was going to be 1-0. But it's so...
It was a good win for Liverpool.
Yeah,
very good.
Man United, Leicester, you were closer than me. You predicted 2-0 and I predicted 1-0. And it was 3-0.
Yeah.
Of course,
win again.
I didn't expect that Amad Diallo was going to play that. Had this amazing match from the off.
And he did in Europe as well. He's playing. Yeah. He's playing really well. He's just in form.
So Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, 1-3. That was a big surprise.
Yeah, a fantastic result.
I thought it was
what a game!
I expected that it was going to be close, But you were not actually. You were not that optimistic because you said to draw.
Yeah, I thought it'd
and
be
I
tough.
predicted 1-0 win for Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, so we're both wrong.
Well, so yeah. So
And then it was the Chelsea Arsenal, I think, wasn't it?
Tottenham Ipswich.
Tottenham Ipswich as well, yeah.
Again, Tottenham, of course, nobody can predict what Tottenham is going to do.
It's impossible each week. I did say, though, it's typical. It would be typical Spurs for them to lose that.
You thought it was going to be 2-0, and I thought it was going to be 3-0. In the end, Ipswich won.
Completely wrong, yeah. Completely.
1-2.
And first victory of the season for Ipswich. So, you know, big surprise. We'll talk about that a bit more.
Yeah.
'Cause I like to talk about
and Chelsea, I got it right because it was a 1-1 draw, and you thought that Chelsea was going to win 2-1.
Yeah, so I was one goal away in a lot of the things, but they're wrong. But you know, lots of goals to talk about this weekend, though. So
Yeah. So
where do you want to start?
let's start. Well, if we say much about Liverpool, I think we will be repeating ourselves because right now you don't know when this winning streak is going to stop.
Yeah, they were impressive, and I said last week, so we won't go on and on about it, like you say, but the transitions, the counter-attacking, I watched the game. It was exciting. It was like watching some of Klopp's football, especially some of the European nights that they had, where they're just, you know, they're on the front foot, they're pressing, and they're devastating on the break as well. They could have scored a few more goals. Difficult for any defence to recover, to deal with. So, yeah. He's doing a great job. Slot, everyone's talking about it. It's he's not the they're not the quiet outsiders now. They're definitely right at the front of the race for the title, with Man City slipping up and Arsenal slipping up and Chelsea a few points back and coming up from behind. But Liverpool, wow, they've opened that gap, haven't they, at the top of the table?
Yeah.
And we know from previous years Arsenal had a gap to Man City and it got chased down, and and Liverpool have been up there as well, and they've had the gap closed down. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good start. He'll take that. They only lost one game, I think, haven't they, all season? So
against Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest, at home. So that was a surprise, but not maybe on their form this season. They've been very impressive, haven't they? I'm so happy to see a different team give it a go. We've had Arsenal and Man City have been the two main teams. If we can have Liverpool there as well, and Chelsea, with as many as possible to challenge Man City. And if they're playing that sort of football, I quite enjoy watching it as a neutral, to be honest.
As a Man United supporter, I hope that none of these two teams, Man City or Liverpool, are going to win it.
You hope it's one of the London teams, Arsenal, or Chelsea, yeah. But for you, it's a nightmare. Because Gary Neville said, didn't he, which one, he said, it's like, which one do you want to take your wife, basically, is what he said. Who do you want it to, it's just like one of those worst case scenarios where both are a bad scenario for you. So probably, I don't know who you'd pick. You probably Liverpool, but, they don't shut up, do they, to Man United fans about how many titles have been won and all this sort of thing. So I don't think it's good for you guys at the moment.
Since on Liverpool, there was this suspension of the referee. Have you seen the full video?
We can't repeat what he said, but he said quite a rude word about Jurgen Klopp and about Liverpool. David Coote, allegedly, because it's still being.
Have you seen?
I've seen the video.
The whole video.
I've seen the whole video, and I've seen the separate
in
video.
Different social medias, but I watched on Sky the full video.
Yeah,
with a lot of beeps.
I heard the words, and we can't obviously repeat them. They're really, really bad. But it's one of the worst swear words you can use.
Yes.
I don't know, because we're living.
Do you think is manufactured by
don't know
AI?
We don't know for sure, do we? If it's real, I think you don't know anymore. You just can't tell.
Nowadays with AI,
how can you?
How can you?
The thing about this video is actually from 2020.
Yes.
It's from a long time ago during COVID, and it was on the back of, I think they played Burnley, and he was talking about the way that Klopp was reacting to him on the sidelines, and he said he actually got along with James Milner fine, but he's got a problem with Jurgen Klopp. He's so and so, and he didn't like his arrogance. He hates Liverpool. He called Liverpool
Yeah.
They're saying they're terrible, basically, in a polite way, saying I don't think they're any good. But at that point, that was Liverpool running away with the title. They were at the top at that point. That was that championship winning season that they had under Klopp. So I hope it's not true, but it's not good. Whatever happens, whether it's
I watched
whether
it a
it's
couple
fake
of
or
times.
real.
I watched it a couple of times, and
Do you think it's real?
he looked that he was drunk.
He looked like he was drunk, or maybe under the influence of drugs as well.
Yes.
But either way, Nicos, if it's
Yes.
real or if it's not real, it's bad news for his career, isn't it? Even
Definitely.
if it's fake, why is it?
Well,
been
actually,
released?
his
You know,
career
so-
is forget it.
He can't come back,
No.
even if they say no, it's completely artificially generated. He didn't say it. It's still bad. How can he go back onto the pitch and the players and the Liverpool fans and you just can't go near the game again? Can he? I
First
don't
of all,
think.
let's say it was proven that it was manufactured by AI,
Yeah,
artificial intelligence. It was not, he didn't say anything or whatever. Okay, the pressure. Can you imagine can you imagine him refereeing a Liverpool match again?
no, or anybody
And
related to the title race.
and making a mistake,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
instance. He's going to be hammered.
I wonder why it got released now, and I was just thinking about this, but he was the referee for Liverpool's match at the weekend
Yes.
against Villa, where they stormed through. Salah was going through 1-on-1, and the defender took him out, and then Núñez carried on and scored. But he was waving away his arms like that to say no foul, no foul. So if Núñez hadn't have scored or picked it up and put it in, it would have been interesting to see what would have happened. It probably would have gone to VAR. They would have had to overturn it and give it as a red card. He was literally saying no foul, no foul. So maybe somebody, whoever's got access to this video, maybe the guy who was with him, I don't if it is a real video or whatever, they chose to release it on the back of that, on the back of a few contentious decisions from the Liverpool match that David Coote was the referee for. So it's not a coincidence. I think it was definitely deliberately leaked after that match. But why wait on it, sit on it for 4 years if it is a real video? It's really strange, and they obviously waited for the moment to do it. Maybe I don't just. It's a shame. It's a shame, and it also brings in a lot of question marks around PGMOL, the referee union thing from the UK, because they've had lots of problems with VAR decisions. There's been all the talking points. I know we do all over the world, even in Cyprus, we have these debates all the time about VAR, but it does bring it into a bit of disrepute. You know, can you trust these guys? Because he's been on VAR as well. He's not just been in the referee.
But the difference
on the
is
pitch.
in the
He's
UK.
been in the room.
In the UK, they get a lot of money. I don't know if all of them, but I remember some of them is their main job. They're fully professional.
Yeah, they are. They're fully professionals. Their entire life is dedicated to refereeing.
But all the referees
time.
now, because when this scheme
Yeah.
started out, it was not all the referees.
No, but I don't know how long. I think maybe 10, 12 years at least, maybe last 15 years they've been professional. Before that, they've been teachers, they've been businessmen, whatever, on the side. But they're actually full-time dedicated refs.
So his career is over, whatever happens.
Yeah, if he did say it, if he did do it, it's this ridiculous error of judgment in any profession to do something like that, and then to allow it to be filmed. Of course, we all have our own opinions and things like that, and you can keep them to yourself or among close friends. But to allow yourself to be filmed, it's really serious, really bad news for him. I think that's his career over. He's going to have to.
But I'm not sure whether
he
he was aware that he was filmed. Looking,
maybe he wasn't aware.
I watched it a
because-
couple of times,
Yeah.
and he looked like either he was on drugs or under the influence of alcohol.
Either way, what an error of judgment, what a lapse for him, and he's made his way. It's hard to make your way to the top level, but yeah,
At the end of the day, if he's really, if it's not manufactured and it's real recording, you should choose your friends.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So yeah, that's it's going to be a difficult time. They're doing an investigation, and apparently the PGMOL are working along the lines of, in their investigation, that it is him in the video. They're doing on that working hypothesis, and maybe they're going to get tech experts. I think they said they're getting tech experts involved to actually check the video, but I don't know how you would check it. I don't know how you would do this. Maybe they look at into the actual frame rate of the video. I don't know how you would do it, but apparently they're looking into it. And some of the jokes online have been, we didn't realise that the VAR team had tech experts judging on some of the decisions and some of the angles that we've seen over the last few years. But apparently they do have them. So yeah, let's see.
Okay.
Difficult time for the referees at the moment.
So about Man City, do you think that the international break has come at the really right time?
Yes,
for them?
Absolutely. Perfect timing for them because they need to regroup. Although saying that, a lot of their players will go out off to international duty. So it's not like they can all be in the same room or on the training pitch together. But it gives Pep maybe a chance to assess, maybe go through some of the games and maybe work on some of the. Maybe they can work on some of the players that they've got out injured at the moment. Maybe try and get De Bruyne back up to full speed because he's not looked himself. Obviously, he's been out injured. I think Rodri's going to be out long term, but there's some of the other players try and sort of bring them back.
And Kyle Walker, if I'm not mistaken, was not 100%.
No, Kyle Walker's apparently not been 100% for a few weeks, so that maybe explains why I was giving him a bit of stick last couple of weeks because his performances haven't been up there. Maybe because his fitness levels or he's carrying an injury.
Okay, but last year, if you compare his performances with last year he was unbelievable. He was exceptional throughout the year.
Yeah, and they've got injuries to other players, haven't they? They've got Grealish and things like that, and a few other players I can't remember, but they've got a bit of a mini crisis from injuries. And yeah, they lost that game. They got well beaten against Sporting in the Champions League, the new Man United manager's final home game, and 4 defeats in a row for Pep, the first time, as we said, ever in his managerial career. He said he's had it a few times in his playing career, but in managerial terms, yes. So this is when it's going to be fascinating to see because he's never been in a position or a situation where he's lost 4 games in a row. He's never ever had that. All these top teams he's managed. So how will he react to that? What will he be thinking? It's something that he's never had to experience, and will it continue, or will he? How can he find a way out of this little rut that they're in? I think they will do because they always will. They've got a good squad, even with the injuries. They've got a fantastic team. And they've got some friendly fixtures, I think, of the next from between after the international break, running up to Christmas. They've got a few quite winnable games, especially for them. They just need to find a bit of form. They need to solve this conundrum with Rodri in the centre, who's not playing. Obviously he's out injured. They need to get De Bruyne back, starting and up to speed again. And Haaland has not looked himself, although he did score at the weekend. He's just not. He's looked out of sorts. I know. Parts of last season he did, but he still stuck it in the net and they were still creating and scoring goals. I think one thing I noticed here is about what's gone wrong with Man City is last season when Haaland in particular or any of the front 3 or 4 players were not performing or not quite at it, they had Alvarez. He was a fantastic option, Julian Alvarez, the striker guy. He was playing all across the front line, and now they sold him to Atletico Madrid, good money, but they haven't replaced him. Not sufficiently, anyway. They got Savinho, a young player on the wing, a bit like a Mahrez style player, but they don't have that person to come in if anything happens to Haaland, to bring him on, or even to start him, give him a break, to put the goals in, to finish. So that's been a big problem, and maybe he might. One of the reactions that he might do is dip into the transfer market and maybe sign somebody in January, somebody as a backup, or somebody to solve a maybe problem position. Maybe. They're quite good. They have quite a good scouting network to maybe replace a Rodri temporarily.
I know they do, but January, usually the transfer period in January is very difficult.
Yeah, it's the worst time to sign players, isn't it? Of course, but
especially
they're going to have to do
if they're
something.
coming from a different league. They're not used to the Premier League. It's the adaptation period. I don't know. We'll see what's going to happen.
They've just not looked themselves. I don't even know if it's a lack of confidence or lack of cohesion, or I don't think it's the tactics necessarily, because he's a genius at the tactics, isn't he? He sets his teams up in the right way. I just don't know. Maybe it's just a bad spell, and it's just he's going to be more determined than ever to turn this around.
As we know, psychology is very important in sports and especially football. So if he needs to turn it around quickly, otherwise it will be this continuous. Very difficult period for them, and it will affect their brains. They can't afford to let Liverpool get too far ahead. They did let Arsenal get quite far ahead, reasonably far ahead in recent seasons, didn't they? But they clawed it back because they have that incredible second half of the season. Now it all depends on whether they can get players back fit. It depends on how the other teams get along. If Liverpool start slipping up, or I'd say it's mostly Liverpool, but if like Arsenal fall behind, and then it's they can sense that
their opponents, their closest rivals, are dropping points, that can obviously give them a boost because they're like a machine in the second half of the season. But if they play, and it's not just these last 4 games either, these last 4 defeats. It's, the draw against Arsenal, that they drop points. They only just beat Wolves in the last minute.
Yeah.
So it's and I think they only just won 1-0 against Southampton. So they've not been at their best for most of the season. So this has just highlighted it because they've all been defeats. But there's a long way to go. They've got the squad, and he's a capable manager.
So I've watched Ruud van Nistelrooy's last match in charge of Man United. It looks like he changed first of all, he changed the psychology of the players. I don't know, because of his personality, but okay, 4 matches and 3 wins and a draw against Chelsea. So Ruben Amorim just arrived at Manchester with his coaching staff, and Ruud and another 3 coaches have left already. So do you think it's a good idea that he hasn't kept any of the previous coaching staff?
Well, it was obviously short but sweet. The Ruud van Nistelrooy era didn't last very long, but he did do well. I think if you're coming in and you've got, because we talked about this last week, do you keep him in some sort of advisory or transition role, to help him bed in? But I think if you're a manager of calibre, they're paying big money for him and his team to come over from Sporting. I think it's just easier and better just to go in and assess yourself. You don't need Ruud van Nistelrooy from the old hangover from the old regime to tell you, Anthony's not performing very well. He's not performing very well. Just go in.
Okay, I understand that, but Ruud has been with United for only 6 months. It's not like he was, for quite
the whole time
period.
with Ten Hag.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I just think I agree. If I was him in his position, and you see this a lot all the time. You see this all the time with the teams that come in, especially top managers. They come in, right, this is how I'm going to do it. This is my team. We're setting out the framework. This is how we're going to work. And I think I don't really, having looked at it and thought about it, I don't think Ruud van Nistelrooy could really. I don't think he would have helped too much. I think if anything, he might have hindered and got in the way.
Yes. And anyway, in my opinion, if Ruben Amorim wants to contact Ruud to get some information, I'm sure he would be willing to pick up the phone and.
Were you sad to see Ruud go, or would you like to see him
No,
stay?
I agree with you. I agree with you. It's just that this discussion, that a lot of the fans are upset.
Yeah,
some of
the
them
sentimental value there.
Yeah, exactly. But I think he conducted himself really well during his press conferences, during the matches.
Yeah, really professional.
Really professional.
Yeah,
so
really
so he can. Even now some people are discussing. Maybe in a few years' time, he will come back as the head coach.
You never know. I mean, he's got the credentials. He's managed teams before, top teams.
Yeah.
Over in the Netherlands, and he will go get another job. He will get a job somewhere in Europe if he wants to. If he wants to be the manager again, he's got the credentials. He's shown that already, even in his short time at Man United.
So we'll see what's going to happen now with Ruben Amorim.
He's got a bit of time now, hasn't he, with the international break, to have a look around, get used
most
to
of the
surroundings.
players are away.
But figure out maybe, most of the players away, but maybe work on the ones who haven't been called up and just get used to his office and just get used to things.
Exactly, the training ground, the facilities.
And the Manchester weather, of course.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. But after the international break, Man United is playing away at Ipswich.
Not the best time to be playing Ipswich either, is it?
Because as we said, Ipswich won away against Tottenham, so they'll be on a high, and it's going to be a tricky match for as the first match for Ruben Amorim.
Yeah, because they managed to hold on, because it's not just Ipswich getting that 2-goal lead; it was also clinging on, especially. You got that really impressive stadium that they play at, Spurs, and that really it's almost like the Tottenham wall behind the goal, and they were just facing a barrage of attacks. They had Son moving out wide. They had the Kulusevski, Maddison. They had all these top players running rings around them because of their fitness levels, which they do have good fitness levels, Spurs, if not performance levels all the time. They showed a lot of character to dig in. keep that ball out the net, basically. And it was impressive, especially when they hadn't won. You know, when you go 2-0 up away from home, somewhere like Spurs, and then Spurs get a goal back and you haven't won all season, you think, are they going to fold? Are they going to collapse?
Yeah.
Well, they showed it. They showed that resilience. And maybe that's the springboard. And it's a tough game for Man United away.
I agree. It's going to be tough. Ipswich at home. We know it's difficult when you come from the championship the first year. You know, basically you need to do whatever it takes to survive and stay up. So at their ground, it's going to be a tricky match.
Yeah, because I think the position that they're at in the table, Ipswich, I don't think they deserve to be there.
No,
I think they've been in a lot of games.
Yes.
Drew with Villa, drew with Brighton, 2 top half teams, and they've been in a lot of the games. So this could be, like I say, this could be the springboard. It could be the start of something for Ipswich. You know, a tough game, to be honest, for them as well, with Man United, new manager coming in. He might shift things around. He could be like the new manager bounce. It could be. We just don't know how it's going to go. But it's a tasty game. I look forward to watching that one.
Okay. And Chelsea Arsenal. Have you watched the match?
Yeah, I watched the game, and it was. I thought it was a must-win game for Arsenal going into it because of how they've been recent weeks and the results not going their way really. And the gap is a bit too far now to Liverpool from Arsenal. I mean, and Chelsea are above Arsenal, you know, albeit slightly. I watched it and I thought, I thought Chelsea. I think I said Chelsea. I thought to win. Did I say I think Chelsea to win? I can't remember.
Yes, 2-1.
Yeah, I thought they would do it because they've been in good form and they seem to be gelling on. You know, all these stars that he's put together seem to be gelling. And I thought maybe Palmer would be the difference. But I thought it was probably Arsenal did play well. I thought it probably should have been a draw, which it was, and Arsenal could have scored in the last second as well.
Yes,
and that I felt like that. It felt like a pivotal moment. It was a great ball across it, and then that player I think it was Trossard, just took the ball off the feet of the striker coming in, and if that had gone in, that could have been Arsenal right back in the title race. I think things like that, moments like that, you just think, is it going to be their year again? No. So it's a good point because they've gone to Man City and they've gone to Chelsea and they've not lost, but you can't keep dropping points in other games. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter so much if you stop the top 4 teams from beating you home and away, which they've managed to in those games. That's great, but you need to beat the teams at home, the easier games, and they've not really done that. They lost to Newcastle away. I'm not saying that's an easier game, but if you're going for the title, you've got to look to win that sort of match, and they've dropped points at home. So Arteta I think he's having a mini crisis, not as much as Man City with all the defeats at the moment, but I think he's had a mini crisis. They found Odegaard back, and he did a brilliant ball for their goal, by the way. Fantastic. He's the difference maker. If he can get a run of games, hopefully for Arsenal he doesn't get injured on international duty with Norway, but you know, when they come back from the break, he's the ringleader, he's the main man, he's the Rodri of Arsenal. You know, he does everything, pulls the strings. If they can get him backfiring, then you know, they I don't think they will, but they could in theory challenge Liverpool. But I think they're too far behind now. I think it's eight points. It's 8 points now behind Liverpool.
You know, that's the thing, is that Liverpool keeps winning and the rest of the teams are dropping points.
Yeah, and you just can't afford to do it. No. You just kind of. One thing I noticed is the lack of a number 9, the lack of a central figure. Man City got Haaland, but Havertz. He's a good player, but I'm not sure he's not the definitive number 9 or the main man up front. They need like an Isak, and I don't want him to leave Newcastle at all. But he's been heavily linked, and I really hope his head doesn't get turned and he joins Arsenal. But they really should have signed an Isak style player, somebody who's dynamic across the front, like you've seen with the Liverpool players in their attack, who are dynamic across all the positions. They need someone like that. But somebody who can also act as a number 9, running in behind and scoring, you know, the one-on-ones, the being clinical. They've not quite got that. I think they're just too free-flowing and they don't have a central figure, and it's shown. Okay.
Even though we have some days until the next round of features, let me go through them. It's early kickoff Leicester-Chelsea on Saturday. Bournemouth, Brighton, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest. Wow. Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, Everton, Brentford, Fulham, Wolves, Man City, Tottenham.
That's going to be a really interesting match.
It's Saturday night match, and on Sunday, Southampton, Liverpool, and Ipswich, as we already said, Man United. So.
And is it the Newcastle game as well? Who have they got? It's on the Monday, isn't it? Is it West Ham?
Yeah.
Newcastle, West Ham on the Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good fixture for Newcastle. I think they can to win in that one, because I just want to quickly touch on the Forest game. Fantastic win. Brilliant goal by Joe Linton. Brilliant play by Bruno Guimaraes, who was running the strings. Like I say, we said about the Rodri, the Odegaard. He's like Newcastle's Odegaard. He really is a fantastic link in that midfield.
But Newcastle, your team has not been consistent.
No, but they're showing it. They're showing it now, because they had the Arsenal victory and now we've got the win away at Forest. Two really big results in a row. Feeling's good, and also the win in the cup as well.
That,
I'm more positive now than I was a few weeks ago.
That you're on the up.
I optimistically said top four, very optimistically at the start of the season. I'm not sure top four will be achievable, but definitely. Fifth or sixth, I'd take that. I just want to get back into Europe and see some European away games, away days again. Maybe Europa League. That'd be great.
Okay, definitely the match of the following weekends is Man City Tottenham. I would say.
Yeah, definitely going to tune into that
Arsenal, Nottingham Forest. You never know what's going to happen, but. We touched on Ipswich, Man United.
That's a tough game. I'm looking forward to seeing that one.
Southampton, Liverpool. I think it's going to be an away win.
You would have thought so. You would have thought so, but then we were wrong on a lot of the results before, and it's surprising.
The Man City match against Tottenham, I think it's pivotal for both teams. It's really. A very important match for both teams.
It is, and it could go either way in that one.
Yeah, but Man City, they cannot afford to lose any more points.
It's a must-win for Man City.
It's a must-win.
Almost all of the games out at the moment, until Liverpool start slipping up, which they're not showing any signs of.
Every week we say until Liverpool slips up.
Yeah. We could be sat here at the end of the season, in May, saying. Until they slip up, but they will obviously slip up at some point. Usually around Christmas time, the fixtures build up, and lots of intensity around the Christmas schedule. Loads of injuries start to happen, and strange things happen around Christmas. So let's see how it goes there.
Yes. So when we come back, we will go through all these matches. I'm not going to ask you for any predictions this week.
Because it all depends, doesn't it? There could be injuries on the international players could get injured, and lots could happen.
And usually, it's really you get strange results after the international break.
You do. Yeah,
because some of the players they have to travel from South America,
all over Asia.
Asia is I don't know. So we wait and see what is going to happen, and we will be here to discuss all this and more in the next episode. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Nicos.